Hey, how's it going? Well, as you can see in the comments, one thing I wanted to go over here was patchbay, why it's extremely convenient, why I prefer it over an interface, and especially when you're doing analog recordings. I set some examples up right here I'd like to show you. I'll bring you closer in just a second. Here's my patchbay that I have hooked up to my computer. I leave this space open so I can fit my hand behind here, and on the side I do a similar thing. I have all my USBs from the computer coming out here. This is just so I can hook anything up on the fly. I don't have to go behind my computer, reach down, whatever the case. I have an analog tape machine that's sitting here, and I'm going to show you the different ways that I can hook this up, record, and capture as much of that analog sound as possible. There's a few things right now to date, especially because of the amount of memory it even takes up, but it's impossible to get as high quality sound that you can ultimately out of an analog system. And one of the reasons that happens is because of the way that digital is a collection of information that's essentially snapshots. I might as well explain this real quick. Most of you probably know this, some of you might not realize. But basically, anytime you have digital recording, you're taking essentially an analog signal, usually ultimately, unless it's like a synthesizer or something, and you're taking that analog sound and you're bringing it into the digital world. And in order for the conversion to happen, it has to take that information, and a sine wave from an analog signal is a consistent wave that's constantly moving, and it's essentially a rounded wave. If you look at it straight on, it would actually spiral outward, but if you're looking at it from the side, it appears as if it just goes up and down, and that's the sound. And in order to get it onto digital, digital has to take that and take continuous snapshots of it, and that's the bit rate. And the bit rate is essentially how many snapshots it takes within seconds or milliseconds. Since there's no such thing as snapshots in an analog signal, you're hearing exactly what it sounds like. Aside from, of course, if it's recorded, you're going to hear the colorization of anything that was used in between that, as to record, from the original analog sound and the microphone that records it, that whole signal path all the way to the final production. So, and then also you have the hertz, and the hertz is essentially the threshold, the ceiling in which that frequency has to move. So if you have something like an MP3, you're taking, 4,044 snapshots per second, something like that, and I believe that's correct. And so what it's doing is taking all those snapshots and then it's putting them back. But the thing is, because of how much data needs to be used in order to capture things, and its clarity and all the articulations from everything, you need to have as much room as possible. And only now, especially in the commercial zone, are we really starting to expand how high the frequency range can go. There's still limits, of course, but 92 is something that's starting to be commonly used today. Most commercial stuff is still only like CDs, MP3s, 16-bit or less. So you lose a lot of quality. And the less quality there is, the more grainy sounding it eventually becomes. You start losing all that articulation. So the same concept is true with this. I want to keep as much of that analog sound as possible. So what I want to do is take this recording, let's say I mix it down, and then I want to have this recorded onto my computer. I like to avoid using interfaces. Interfaces is going to automatically put a bit rate and a hertz. It's going to do audio digital conversions. Once you take an audio signal, convert it into information, and then have it reprocessed back into an analog signal, you're going to lose a lot of definition, even if you might not even hear it at first, because all those snapshots, like I previously said, are just fragments, and those fragments are put together, and the processing and the computer has to make up for those snapshot differences, and so it fills in the blanks. So you're going to lose accuracy with the sound quality. So in order to keep it as regular as possible, I like to have as little amount of connections or fences or obstacles, you can call them, because in this case, it kind of impedes the sound. And so to me, they're kind of like obstacles. Not obstacles as in difficult, but just another hurdle you have to jump over to get to your destination. And you're going to lose energy by the time you get to the end. So I'll take a mix, I'll send it into my computer. Let me show you what the patchbay looks like. I don't even know who's watching, but I'll repost this. Here you go. Oh, I got a couple of viewers, cool. So here's a patchbay, and let me pull this out just so I could show you what I got going on. This patchbay right here goes directly to my computer. I have my audio outs. There's my left and my right. Here's my line in, so I could take a left and a right. That's usually what I use when I'm coming out of this, which I'll show you in just a second. I've got a line out. If I want to send something else out, I also have it hooked up so these can be my surround sound speakers. Here's a headphone, so I can hook up a headphone right here, which goes to the front of my computer, so I can hook up if I'm playing video games or listening to something or want to hear it, I can just hook this guy in. And here's my microphone, so I can talk to customers online, I can play games and communicate, and everything is just right up here, so it's really easy. I don't have to go behind the computer, behind this massive desk, just to connect something, disconnect it. And then I have a duplicate right here, which is essentially the same thing. I have the audio outs, I have the line ins, line out, headphone, and a mic, so anyone can hook up another computer. If I have a customer that wants to come over and they have their stuff on their computer, I can just essentially do the same thing. And I can even, take their feeds, go back to this computer, go out and record onto a separate device. I have, let's see, I've got my cassettes, my VHS, and my DVD inputs and outputs, which I usually have kind of hooked up to back here. So I could just take the feeds and bring them into my recording, which is my computer right there. Now, my line outs, my speakers, my left and right, come right out here. So now, this gives me a couple different options. Because on here, I have an open channel, which I can hook up anything I want to. I've got this right here, which is my main mixing speakers. And then I have my main stereo speakers. So I could hook up anything I want to. And you can hook up multiple things with this that you wouldn't really be able to with an interface per se. And plus, it's all analog in and out. The only digital is when it goes to the computer to record. But I can always bypass that directly and have these go out into something else, another recording device. I can have them come into here, out to another tape, a master tape, a DAT, whatever you want. So, for an example, I have this mix, and let's just say I kind of like how it sounds right here. I have this mix, and I could just send this right into my computer. I don't need an interface, so I'm not going to get any lag. I'm not going to get, any discrepancies, latency issues. It's exactly how I want it, analog, right? So, if I start this, let's see. Get this guy. This is my speaker out, so my monitor's out, and my recording out, a line. I could take this and go. So now I have this going into my line in, which goes directly into my computer, and my computer speakers come right out to here, which if I wanted, I could switch over to my reference monitors. My speaker's right there. Now the outside ones are on. And that's for playback, if I want to, do some referencing, listen to what I recorded. And I have this one open in case I want to hook up something else or a customer recommends, speakers that they're used to. monitors that they're used to mixing on. They can just hook them right up to here, and I just take them and I just plug them in, and it goes directly in. So now I'm going to go into my main mixing monitors. Alright, got my mix coming out here, and now I have my program and it's recording. Now, something you want to do is make sure you got everything adjusted right. So you go to your line, you want to make sure everything's got a healthy volume. Right now this is kind of low, and I have these kind of low, and that's mostly just because of my neighbors are sleeping. So let me turn the main mix down. I'll turn the main mix down right there. Now I can turn this up to a normal volume, bring this master up into my computer, and you'll see the levels change. You see they've gotten larger, the meters. And then as this records, you can see this here. And now, that's my playback, right? I can still see what I'm recording in and adjust it like this. So now I can get a really nice volume. I usually keep it around, 25, 35, depending. You're just going to keep an eye on this up here at top, and that'll kind of, let you know where you are. And you're not clipping or anything, Since this would be recording onto digital, you might want to something like that. You don't want to really hit the red zone. Anywhere above this, you start getting some weird digital clipping going on. So this is like your healthy zone. Your clipping, the top. See, even that's a little high. But I want to hear it back to what's going on. So, like I said, it brings about maybe 20, and that should be good. I'll take a listen if I want. I'll set it up depending what it is. And so then I just have it recording. Got a healthy volume going here. Going to my speakers here. And as you can see, it's recording right back here. So that's my digital mix, right? I have my digital right there. Right? And if I wanted to, I could take this out and have this go to a separate analog recording device. So I can have, a master DAT or a mother. I can make the mother recording using this. I keep my master here, make a separate mother that would end up making the daughter discs, which copy those, and those end up becoming the commercial sales or the commercial version. So honestly, with this patchbay, you have unlimited possibilities here. Anything that you think of that you really want to kind of do, let me turn it down a little bit, you can always just have this set up, patchbay, plug in and out for whatever you want. You can even use these for different headphones. So that's some of the reasons I really like to use patchbays, and I avoid interfaces, digital interfaces, as much as possible. If you ask me, they're worse. Taking a step into digital, we kind of took a couple steps back in quality, but we added to the convenience. So I like to mix both worlds here. As you can see, I'm recording there. I have that recording. I'm still listening to it. I want to reference these guys. Let's hear that. Bring up the playback volume. There you go. So that's why I like to do it. Some analog tips that I enjoy, and how you can get the most benefit and the best sound and quality when recording onto your computer. Like this, you can always record a higher depth. If I change the settings, I get better quality. So it's really up to you. You can, I got my stereo mixing over here. So now you have all control, and you don't have to worry about latency. It's all immediate, instantaneous. And any questions or comments, let me know. I'll be glad to answer if I can. And hope you enjoyed the video. And take care.